Welcome to Mr. Disturbing. Tonight, we're plunging into the dark heart of the Appalachians with some truly unsettling true horror stories. That'll keep you up all night. If you're brave enough, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next descent into fear. My name is Daniel. I'm 32 years old, and I live in a small town nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia. I work as a forest ranger, a job that often keeps me isolated in the dense woods, far from the nearest town for days at a time. The mountain air is fresh, but there is a darkness here, something old and hidden beneath the thick canopy of trees that most people never notice. I always thought the legends were just stories, folklore to keep tourists intrigued, but what I experienced changed everything I believed. It was late autumn, the kind of cold that creeps into your bones even when the sun is out. The forest was painted with hues of orange and crimson, leaves crunching underfoot as I followed a trail deeper than usual. I was on patrol, checking for signs of illegal logging or hunting. I had heard stories from locals about strange noises in these woods, whispers carried on the wind, footsteps that didn't belong to any animal, but I dismissed them as superstition. That day, however, the forest felt different, silent. The usual bird song was gone. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. As dusk settled, I noticed a faint flickering light far ahead. Curious, I decided to investigate, thinking it might be a lost camper or a bonfire left unattended. The light danced between the trees like a will-o'-the-wisp, leading me off the marked trail. I told myself to stay cautious, but the forest seemed to pull me forward, hypnotic and eerie. The further I went, the thicker the mist grew, curling around my boots, muffling my footsteps. Suddenly, the light vanished, leaving me in complete darkness. I fumbled for my flashlight and turned it on, the beam cutting through the fog, revealing twisted branches and gnarled roots. Then I heard it, a low, guttural growl from just beyond the light's reach. My heart pounded, but I tried to stay calm. I called out softly, but only silence answered. Then, something moved. Shadows darted between the trees, too fast to see clearly. I quickened my pace, but the forest seemed endless. The growls turned into unidentifiable noises, scraping, snapping twigs, and something that sounded like breathing. I knew I wasn't alone. Panic set in. I tried to retrace my steps, but the trail was gone. Every direction looked the same. I remembered the stories about the Mothman, a creature said to haunt these mountains, a harbinger of doom. I wanted to believe it was just a legend, but something was watching me. Hours passed, or maybe only minutes. Time lost all meaning. Then, in the distance, I saw a figure. Tall, slender, its eyes glowing faintly red. It didn't move like a human, more like a shadow shifting with the wind. I froze, unable to look away. The figure seemed to vanish and reappear, always just out of reach. I heard voices then, faint whispers, speaking in a language I didn't understand, but the tone was cold, threatening. I ran, branches scratching my face, stumbling over roots. The forest was alive with sound, screams, laughter, and the howling wind. Finally, I broke through the trees into a clearing. There, a decrepit cabin stood, its windows shattered, door hanging open. Light spilled out, but it wasn't warm. It was sickly yellow, pulsating. Against every instinct, I stepped inside. The air was thick with decay. On the walls were strange symbols, carved deep into the wood. The floor was littered with bones, animal, and something else. Human. I heard footsteps behind me. I turned, but no one was there. The cabin seemed to breathe, the walls closing in. I found a journal, its pages yellowed, describing rituals to summon spirits, protect the land from outsiders, but at a terrible cost. Suddenly, a cold hand touched my shoulder. I spun around. Nothing. The whispers grew louder, circling me. I ran out, not stopping until the first light of dawn broke through the trees. When I finally found the trail, I followed it back to my truck, shaking and exhausted. I never reported what happened. Who would believe me? The locals just warned me to stay away from that part of the woods. Sometimes at night, I still hear those whispers, calling me back. The forest keeps its secrets, and maybe some are meant to stay hidden. I don't know if what I saw was real or a nightmare born from loneliness and fear. But I do know one thing. The Appalachian Mountains are alive, and they're watching. Since that night, I haven't been able to shake the feeling that something followed me home. The silence of my cabin feels heavier, as if the shadows themselves linger just beyond the corners of my vision. I've checked every lock, every window, yet the unease remains. Sometimes I catch glimpses of movement in the dark, shapes that vanish the moment I turn toward them. I tell myself it's just the mind playing tricks, fueled by exhaustion and stress. But deep down, I know better. My colleagues at the ranger station noticed my change. Once confident and composed, I'm now withdrawn, restless. They ask if I'm all right, but I avoid their questions. How could I explain the unexplainable? The whispers that haunt my dreams, echoing that strange language I can't understand. The cold touch on my shoulder that still sends a chill through my spine, even days later. The feeling that I was never really alone in those woods. I returned to the clearing near the cabin once, during daylight. The place looked ordinary then, almost peaceful. The cabin was gone, replaced by a patch of scorched earth and wildflowers. No symbols, no bones, no sign that anything had ever been there. It was as if the forest had swallowed it whole, erasing all evidence. I took a sample of the soil, hoping for some scientific explanation, but the lab found nothing unusual. Despite everything, the forest calls me back. Sometimes I catch myself driving toward those mountains, heart pounding, drawn to the mist and shadows. It's a pull I can't explain, a need to uncover the truth or perhaps to escape it. I know the danger. I know the stories that say those who venture too far never return. But curiosity, or maybe something darker, keeps me coming. I don't know what's out there. Spirits? Creatures? Or simply the ghosts of a forgotten past, trapped between the trees and time. All I know is that the Appalachian Mountains hold secrets older than any living soul. And some nights, when the wind howls through the valleys, I swear I hear my name whispered on it. A warning? An invitation? I haven't decided. Maybe one day I'll return. Maybe I already have. In ways I don't understand. Until then, I live with the silence, the fear, and the memory of that flickering light, forever lost in the shadows.